It's your favorite sapien that ever touched the fucking planet. Mr. Apex Sapien, YouTube champion, greatest YouTuber ever lived that ever will exist, and there will never be one better. Let me tell you something, brother. Let me tell you something, brother. You need to follow the light. You gotta follow the light. See, let me propose a question to you. What do you think the great commonality of all life forms is on this planet? All organisms on the planet share one commonality. One commonality. Don't matter if they're fucking microscopic bacteria, or they're fucking elephants, or they're sharks, or even humans. They all share one common thing. And I don't want to say the struggle to live. That's not what it is. The struggle to live is merely just a byproduct of life because life has to live. But what do all organisms go towards? They all go towards one thing. And let's think about it like this. Like, I asked a person a question the other day. I'm like, do you think a frog sees the world the same way that I do? The guy says, oh, clearly not. The frog looks at the world differently. I say, well, do you think a dog sees the world the same way that I do? No, I don't think the dog sees the world the same way you do either. Let me ask you something, brother. Do you think you see the world the same way I do? He says, ooh, that's a good question. He's like, probably not. We see the world very differently. So what that tells me is, even at the closest level, my brother doesn't see the world the same way I do. My dad don't see the world the same way I do. Microscopic organisms don't see the way I do. But yet all organisms behave in the same manner. Everything that's looking to live behaves in the same way. And you know what that behavior is? What the one thing that all organisms are always attempting to do? Go towards energy. All organisms want to go towards energy because energy usually has food. So like you work every day, you put in time so you can be able to go to the grocery store, live in the house, and eat. Same thing with a microscopic organism. They go around, they eat up little bacteria so they can eat. A dog eats dog food. Everything needs to go to some type of energy form to be able to keep itself alive and sustain itself. Now that brings a very good question. What is energy? Well, according to Einstein, energy is a very simple equation. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. Now, most of you guys who are not physics majors or nerds are going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about, brother? Well, let's just break it down. Look. Energy over mass equals light. So the more energy a thing is and the smaller the mass, the more light it produces. Now, I know that sounds a little bit kind of confusing, but it's basically like simpler terms is like light is the great commonality that all organisms are all sensitive to. Every single organism is sensitive to light. They're either running away from light or going towards light. But on the most binary level, if you put light in an area, what you would notice is more energy and more things, more lives tend to go into that fucking area. That's why you don't find a whole lot of life in Antarctica, but you'll find a bunch of fucking light in the like Brazilian jungle because the way that the sun hits the earth, light doesn't really hit like the top of the planet, so it's kind of just barren. And if you look at the equator, that's where light hits the most. That's really where the most lush areas of the world are, is where the light hits. So it brings a good question. The light. What is light? What is the nature of light? What does light do? Why do we have this need to go towards light? And it brings a great question to me when I started really thinking about this, about just life. I started to realize humans, we're attracted to certain energies. There's certain energies, like have you ever met somebody you just went and instantly you fucking vibe? It's like you've known this person your entire life. I've had a couple people like that where I've known these guys, like I just met them, but it feels like we've been fucking friends and partners for fucking ages. Like we never fucking not known each other. And what I realized, I usually when I find these people, when I usually come across these people, it's usually when I'm in a dark place. Which it sounds so crazy. Whenever I'm feeling like down, I'm not feeling like my mojo, I'm in a dark spot, I'm just not feeling good. Every once in a while, this bright thing comes, this energy, this bright thing shows up. And it clicks. And I go, where have you been my whole life? Who are you? Where do you come from? And I think other people look at me the same way, where it's like, who are you? Where have you been from? I've never known you. And what I started to realize is this light, it only shows up in the dark. It's the yin and the yang. You can't have summer without winter. You can't have fall without spring. You can't have wet without dry. You can't have light without darkness. And see, what I started to become to realize is a lot of people have found themselves in a trap of light. I like to relate this to like kind of like an entrepreneur's journey. So every entrepreneur, they kind of get to this point where like you know exactly what you're gonna do. You work a job, you show up to the job every day. The job tells you this is where you're gonna be, this is the time you gotta be there, this is how much you're gonna get paid, and this is your days off, and this is gonna be your life for however long you decide to stay here until you retire, and then whatever money you have at the end of those days, that's what you have to live off of. And that's what I call the blinding light trap, which is like everything is so illuminated around you that you get to see everything. But guess what? That light can only go so far. There's some darkness out there that you don't know about. So all you know is this little bubble of light that you can only see. And that bubble of light is dangerous because you never go outside that bubble of light. As soon as you get around to like the darkness area, you fucking turn back and you go back into the light. And see, that's what is very dangerous. That's what most Americans are living with. Most Americans are living what I call the blinding light. And see, when entrepreneurs and men who have adventurous spirits, men who want to go out into the world and find out and state things for their own and go find out who they really are, you got to go into the darkness. See, one day as an entrepreneur, you start to realize you walk over to the fucking blinding light, you get to the edge and you see nothing but pure darkness. It's all dark. It's so dark. And you know why it's even more dark? Because you spent your whole life in the light. You never got a chance to get in the darkness and hone your senses. See, humans have more than just one sense. We got touch, smell, sight, hearing. I think that's the 5. And so if you're always in the light, your other senses dull. You don't get as well as hearing. You don't touch as well. You don't smell as well. You can't feel the vibrations. Everything is a little bit dull because you're so dependent upon your eyes. But like a hunter at night, if you ever get used to just being in the dark, what happens is your eyes, you start to adapt. Your eyes realize, okay, I need to kind of shut down the shutter, shut down a little bit and tone into my other senses. Feel the heat. And every entrepreneur, they take this jump, they take this leap where they say, you know what, fuck the blind light. I don't ever want to be in this light. I know what everything is. It's a fucking cage. It's a fucking cage of lightness. And everybody around me is really in a dark spot, but they're all illuminated, so they can't tell they're dark. They all assume they're light. But there's some of us that are brave enough to go and take that step into the darkness. And let me tell you, when you take those steps into the darkness, it's fucking terrifying. It's a terrifying fucking experience. I'm telling you, like this as a handyman, my job is I go every day into random people's homes and I go and I fix things and I put things up. And I have to trust that my senses, I got to trust my eyes, I got to trust my math, I got to trust my logic. I got to go in there and be able to read the situation immediately, put the people at ease. Because I'm a complete stranger walking into their home. And I got to walk into their home and figure out what the problem is, how to solve it in the blind in real time. And when I first started doing it, it was not easy. It was not easy at all. Oh, no. I was scared, nervous. I didn't know if I was going to fuck up and all this. But then eventually over time, I started to adapt to that darkness. And I started to actually like that darkness. I actually embraced that darkness. And you know what? It makes my light shine brighter. And that's what you start to realize as a man. Is when you go into that darkness, you start to walk, you fumble around, you trip, you might hit over a stick, something might fucking scratch you. But you're light because you got this internal light. And it's a confidence that brews in you, it grows in you. And this confidence inside you starts to radiate. And the further you walk into that darkness, the more confident you become in the darkness, the more that internal light starts to radiate out of you. And it starts to become a beacon. It becomes a beacon to all those other lost souls who are at the edge of the fucking light thing that don't know where they're going. And guess what? You walk into that darkness. You walk into that darkness because you were brave enough. And most humans are not brave enough. Most humans are fucking cowards. They don't want to fucking try anything. They're all scared of that fucking everything. They're just scared of their own shadow. That's one thing you start to learn about humanity. Very scary. And so as you're walking into that fucking darkness, as you're walking, you're stumbling around, you trip, you fall, you get cut a couple times, you start to notice there's people cheering you from the back. There's people following you. There are people going like, oh, Apex, please lead us. Lead us to a better place. We don't want to be in the blind light no more. And see, what happens is that gives you strength. That gives you a spirit. That gives you growth. And your fire starts to build. Your light starts to grow within you. And then it starts to radiate. And then you start to illuminate that darkness. And you know what happens when you start to illuminate that darkness? You realize that darkness is not so scary. That darkness was no different than the fucking blinding space that you were ever in. And guess what? You actually learned there's way more out there for you than there ever was in that blinding light. There's a whole vast ocean of resources and knowledge and wisdom and people. Because as you start to walk and you travel in this darkness, you'll start to see other beacons of light. You'll start to see other people who have that same adventurous spirit, that same gumption, that same fucking, I don't give a fuck, I'm going to fucking figure it out. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I know, damn it, there's a vision that I'm walking towards. And as long as I keep walking towards that light, and you'll start to discover there's a new light. And that new light, you want to know what that new light is? It's fucking you. It's fucking you. You become the light. You become the new beacon. You become the new blinding light that helps people find their way towards their new destination, new way of life, a new way of living, a better way, a more righteous way, a more logical way, a more godly-like way. You become the fucking light. And so I tell you, anybody that's out here, listen to my message, please. I hope this hits you in the fucking soul, hits you in the fucking spirit. Be the fucking light. Take that chance. Walk on faith. Put the work in. Build yourself. Develop that internal light. Put the work in. Know that because I put the work in, I'm confident that no matter what situation I go into, God damn it, either I'm going to be dead or I'm going to fucking figure it out. It's one of the fucking two. And you got to have that mentality. Look, the only way I'm going to be stopped is if I stop breathing. And God damn it, I ain't easy to stop breathing. Appreciate you guys for listening. Hope this fucking touch you. If you want to speak to me more about finding the light, hit up apexsapien.com. Check out the YouTube page, the TikToks, Twitter, all that other stuff. Book a consultation. I'm trying to talk and reach the young people because, listen, darkness is coming. The light's about to shut off pretty soon in America. I don't know if you guys are aware. The light's shutting off in 2030. And there's only going to be some many people that have the light. And I want you guys to be one of them. So be a beacon of manhood. Be a beacon of masculinity. Be a beacon of good. And go out there and fucking be the best you can fucking be.